Hello, my name is David, pronounced David, not D4vd. I'm from Queens, New York. I'm in Houston now.
Breaking news now, the body of a young girl found in the trunk of a Tesla has been identified.
New details are coming into our newsroom about the missing girl found dead in singer David's Tesla. We now know police have searched a home in the Hollywood Hills where David had been living.
David Anthony Burke, known as David, is a Gen Z prodigy who went from recording songs on an iPhone in his sister's closet to charting on the Billboard Hot 100. His breakout single, Romantic, went viral, leading to tours with SZA and a major label deal. But on September 8, 2025, everything changed. Workers at a Houston impound opened a Tesla registered in his name and discovered the body of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas.
We now know the body found inside the front trunk of a Tesla at a Hollywood tow yard belonged to 15-year-old Celeste Rivas. The car where she was found registered to David Anthony Burke, a 20-year-old singer who goes by David.
Los Angeles authorities have released new information about the dismembered found decomposing in singer David's abandoned Tesla in California. According to police, the body discovered in the impounded Tesla has been identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas.
Now the question is, how did a Houston teen with a bedroom studio end up at the center of this case? Let's find out. Meet David. Born on March 28, 2005 in Queens, New York, David Anthony Burke entered the world far from the spotlight that would later define him. His family moved to Houston, Texas while he was still young, and it was there that his formative years unfolded. Raised in a devout Christian household, his early life was shaped by faith and discipline. Until the age of 13, the only music he knew came from the church pews and classical composers. He listened to Bach, Beethoven, and gospel hymns, unaware of the wider music landscape that awaited him. That changed suddenly during middle school. One day, he heard Lil Pump's Gucci Gang for the first time. The repetitive, high-energy sound opened a new world for him. Through his school laptop, he began exploring artists like XXXTentacion and others his classmates were already familiar with. For David, this was the beginning of a cultural awakening, and music became more than just background noise, it became a space for curiosity and escape. After 7th grade, David transitioned to homeschooling. The shift gave him freedom but also left him feeling isolated. He spent countless hours indoors, often immersed in video games. Like many teenagers of his generation, Fortnite became both a pastime and an ambition. He dreamed of going professional, streaming his gameplay and building a career around it.
So basically, I played Fortnite from 2017 to 2021. Game came out in 2017. I was one of the first people to ever play the game.
But uploading his Fortnite montage videos to YouTube brought an unexpected problem: copyright strikes. Popular songs he used for background music kept getting flagged, cutting off his ability to earn from his videos.
I became a YouTuber. I was playing Call of Duty, Fortnite, all these different type of games to try to become like the biggest next thing, streamer, Kai Cenat, everything.
It was David's mother who suggested a simple solution: make his own music. With little more than an iPhone, the BandLab app, and a pair of Apple earbuds, he began recording tracks in his sister's walk-in closet, which became his first studio.
In my sister's closet with the Apple earbuds and an app called BandLab on my phone, just going through instrumentals and letting them tell me what needs to be said on them, and basically just going from there. And then I write to contextualize the stories that I tell.
At first, he only intended the songs to serve as soundtracks for his gaming clips, but when other Fortnite players began using tracks like You and I in their own videos, David realized he might have stumbled onto something bigger. His creativity soon expanded onto TikTok, where he experimented with sped-up, high-pitched covers of popular songs under a playful Alvin persona, modeled after Alvin and the Chipmunks. These quirky videos gained traction and gave him a platform to showcase his original work. The turning point came in 2022 with Romantic. Recorded entirely on his phone, the song went viral, gathering 500,000 views overnight and climbing onto the Billboard Hot 100. By September that year, he had signed with Darkroom and Interscope Records, and his name, now David, was appearing alongside established stars. Soon he was touring with SZA, living a reality few could have imagined for the quiet homeschooled teen from Houston. David's story was one of rapid success, marked by a viral breakout, a major record deal, and a life that seemed to change almost overnight. But while his career was taking off, another story was unfolding hundreds of miles away, one that would soon capture national attention. Celeste Rivas, who some online speculated had a personal connection to him, the missing girl. Before her name became attached to one of the most disturbing discoveries in recent years, Celeste Rivas Hernandez was simply a teenager from Lake Elsinore, California. She was just 15 years old when her story reached the headlines, but her disappearance began long before then. According to reports, Celeste was last seen in early April 2024, and on April 5th, her family officially reported her missing. At the time she vanished, she was only 13, a child whose sudden absence left her family searching for answers.
Statement obtained by NBC, the Riverside Sheriff's Office confirmed that Rivas had been reported missing from Lake Elsinore last year. 2 days after the Tesla was towed to a Los Angeles lot, workers noticed a putrid smell coming from the electric vehicle.
For months, her disappearance generated only limited attention outside her local community. Flyers were posted, online appeals were made, but as with many missing children cases, leads ran cold. Friends described Celeste as quiet but creative, someone who gravitated toward music, fashion, and online culture. To her family, she was a beloved daughter and sister, but behind the image of a normal teenager, investigators later began piecing together details that suggested a more complicated story. That complexity came sharply into focus after the discovery of human remains in September 2025. Before officials had even confirmed the identity of the victim, Celeste's mother spoke to TMZ, drawing a direct line between her daughter and the rising artist David. She revealed that at the time of her disappearance, Celeste had been involved with a boyfriend named David, a claim that immediately raised alarms, as David's real name is David Anthony Burke. What began as a mother's statement quickly ignited speculation online. Investigators soon noted small but significant details that strengthened this connection. The victim had a tattoo on her right index finger that read "Shh" in red ink, something Celeste's mother confirmed her daughter had done. Observers online were quick to point out that David had the exact same tattoo on the same finger, a coincidence many found too striking to ignore. Other hints emerged. A Hello Kitty motif seemed to link them both. Celeste had been last seen wearing Hello Kitty Crocs, and fans circulated a photo of her private social media suggesting she had given David a Hello Kitty charm. Later images showed him wearing an identical piece, fueling further speculation. By the time these threads surfaced, the public narrative had already shifted. Celeste was no longer just a missing girl from Lake Elsinore. She was being connected, piece by piece, to one of music's fastest rising stars. And when her remains were formally identified, the story that began quietly in a California suburb exploded onto the national stage. The discovery. On September 8, 2025, the investigation into Celeste Rivas' disappearance took a dark and irreversible turn. At a tow yard in Hollywood, workers were called to inspect a Tesla Model 3 that had been abandoned on a residential street for several weeks. The vehicle had been impounded, but employees noticed a foul odor seeping from the car's front trunk, the frunk. When authorities arrived and opened the compartment, what they found stunned even seasoned investigators.
The body found inside the trunk of an abandoned Tesla registered to the singer David has been identified as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas. The teen was reported a runaway and missing out of Lake Elsinore nearly a year and a half ago.
Inside was a large black plastic bag, and within it, dismembered and severely decomposed human remains. The grisly nature of the discovery made immediate headlines, but something in particular pushed the story into the spotlight. The Tesla was registered to David Anthony Burke, better known to millions of fans as the artist David. At first, police declined to publicly confirm the victim's identity, citing the advanced state of decomposition. However, the connection to a charting musician already placed the story under intense scrutiny. Social media speculation surged within hours, and fans began dissecting every lyric, image, and public statement linked to David. Over the following week, forensic teams worked to establish who the victim was. On September 16, 2025, the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner announced what many had feared. The remains were officially identified as Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the missing teen from Lake Elsinore. For her family, it was the devastating confirmation of a nightmare that had stretched on for over a year. For investigators, it was the start of a far more complex case, one that merged a missing child investigation with a rising music star's personal life. Meanwhile, David's public profile added a surreal layer to the timeline. On the same night that Celeste's body was discovered in his vehicle, he was performing in Minneapolis as part of his Withered World Tour. Footage from the show circulated online, with some fans noting the stark contrast between the performance and the breaking news. His team released a brief statement shortly after, saying the artist was fully cooperating with investigators and urging the public not to rush to judgment. But the discovery of a teenager's remains inside his car meant the questions couldn't be easily dismissed. How had the Tesla ended up abandoned? Why was it left sitting for weeks without retrieval? And most pressing of all, how did a missing girl from California end up inside the vehicle of a Billboard charting artist? These questions didn't just spark headlines, they opened the door for internet sleuths and fans to begin piecing together their own theories. The internet puts the pieces together. The official confirmation of Celeste Rivas' identity didn't stop the flood of online speculation. It accelerated it. Within hours, Reddit threads, TikTok breakdowns, and Twitter chains began pulling at loose threads, uncovering connections that blurred the line between coincidence and evidence. Though already noted earlier, the matching tattoos kept resurfacing in online discussions. Both Celeste and David share the phrase in the same font and on the same finger, and side-by-side comparisons spread quickly, fueling debate over whether it was simply coincidence or evidence of a deeper connection. Another detail that caught attention was the recurring Hello Kitty imagery. Celeste was reportedly last seen wearing Hello Kitty Crocs, and fans resurfaced a private image from her social media showing a small Hello Kitty charm she once carried. Weeks later, photos of David appeared online where he seemed to be wearing what looked like the same trinket on a chain. For internet sleuths, it was less a coincidence than a breadcrumb. Then came the music. A leaked track titled Celeste Demo Unfin began circulating in late 2023, months before Celeste was reported missing. The rough recording included lyrics such as, "Oh Celeste, the girl with my name tattooed on her chest, I'm obsessed." While some dismissed the leak as a fan edit or misattributed demo, others argued it was proof of an unhealthy fixation. The resurfaced demo fueled speculation that blurred the line between artistic expression and real life.
We are also learning that a new song was leaked online that's by the artist titled Celeste, and that is now circulating online. So that's going on, as well as detectives continuing to figure out how exactly this girl died.
Crowdsourced investigation went further, digging into photos, geotags, and alleged sightings. One viral post claimed David had been spotted near Celeste's neighborhood in Lake Elsinore just days before her disappearance, placing him within walking distance of her home. Others alleged he paid local teens to keep quiet about their relationship, though these claims remain unverified. Screenshots of private Discord and Instagram messages purporting to show conversations between Celeste and an anonymous contact added to the narrative of a hidden relationship. By this stage, the court of public opinion was already forming. For many, the pieces looked damning. The tattoos, the Hello Kitty charm, the leaked demo, and the proximity to her home all suggested an intimate connection. For others, the rush to judgment felt reckless, with speculation threatening to overshadow the need for verified facts. Fallout and suspicion. Now the confirmation that the remains belonged to Celeste Rivas Hernandez shifted the case into high gear. Detectives from the Los Angeles Police Department's Robbery Homicide Division moved quickly, executing search warrants connected to the abandoned Tesla. One location included a property in the Hollywood Hills, close to where the car was discovered. Inside, investigators seized several items, including a computer, while canvassing the neighborhood for leads.
Take a look. This video shows crime scene investigators carrying out a laptop and other items from this home on Doheny Place as possible evidence connected to the missing teen's disappearance and death. Police remaining very tight-lipped about the investigation.
Officers reportedly knocked on doors, asking residents about unusual activity and requesting access to ring camera and surveillance footage. They even combed through nearby alleys, suggesting they believe the person who left the Tesla may have tried to avoid detection on foot. Despite the visible escalation, investigators stopped short of publicly naming David as a suspect. No charges were filed, and police declined to comment on whether he was directly cooperating beyond his team's brief statement. This restraint stood in sharp contrast to the wildfire of speculation spreading online. On social media, two camps emerged. Some voices urged caution, pointing out that many of the connections fans were making were circumstantial at best. They noted that the tattoo, for instance, is extremely common, with celebrities like Rihanna and Lil Wayne sporting the same design. Others suggested that the registered ownership of the Tesla did not necessarily prove possession. It was possible, they argued, that David had lent or even sold the vehicle, and the paperwork had simply not yet caught up. But the majority of online commentary leaned towards suspicion, if not outright belief in his guilt. Threads linking his music, tattoos, and social circle were shared thousands of times. The narrative of a double-life rising star on stage, subject of growing suspicion off it, became a dominant theme online. This shift in perception carried immediate professional consequences. Brands that had previously embraced him as a rising Gen Z icon quickly distanced themselves. Crocs and Hollister Co. pulled promotional campaigns, scrubbing content featuring the artist from their feeds. His collaboration with Kali Uchis, the track Crashing, was abruptly removed from streaming platforms after she cut ties. The stage was also impacted. After performing in Minneapolis the same night the body was discovered, David initially kept his tour schedule intact, but as pressure mounted, he quietly canceled his upcoming Seattle show, citing unforeseen circumstances.
In terms of the artist, he's in the middle of a tour. We know he was continuing his performances up until yesterday when he canceled his show in Seattle. He does have another one scheduled here in Los Angeles at the Greek Theater for Saturday. No word yet on whether or not that show will be canceled.
For the first time in his career, the momentum wasn't upward. It was stalling, and the weight of suspicion was dragging everything with it. Music versus reality. As the professional backlash deepened, attention shifted from David's public image to his art itself. What had once been celebrated as innovative, genre-bending songwriting was now being scrutinized with suspicion. Fans, critics, and casual listeners alike began combing through his discography, searching for hidden meanings or disturbing connections to the unfolding case. The song at the center of this re-examination was his breakout hit, Romantic Side. When it first went viral on TikTok in 2022, the track was hailed as raw, vulnerable, and refreshingly minimalist, a song about heartbreak recorded on an iPhone in a closet. In interviews, David described it as metaphorical, explaining that killing someone in the back of his mind referred to erasing feelings for a person, not actual violence. But after the discovery of Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body, many could no longer hear it the same way. Lyrics like "I killed you and I didn't even regret it" took on chilling new significance.
In my sister's closet with the Apple earbuds and an app called BandLab on my phone, just going through instrumentals and letting them tell me what needs to be said on them, and basically just going from there. And then I write to contextualize the stories that I tell.
The scrutiny didn't stop there. Songs such as "You Left Me First," "Where Did You Go," and "Afterlife" were revisited, with fans dissecting their titles and themes through the lens of loss, obsession, and death. His merchandise also came under fire. For years, he had sold bloody shirt designs, once considered edgy and artistic, now interpreted by some as unsettling in light of recent events. One resurfaced performance in particular fueled speculation. In a 2023 appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, David sang in a white shirt splattered with red stains, his hand wrapped in bandages. At the time, the imagery was viewed as theatrical, a visual metaphor for his music's themes of heartbreak and pain. But in 2025, those images circulated widely on social media with new captions and sinister interpretations, reframing what once looked like artistry as potential foreshadowing. Some cultural commentators pushed back, warning against conflating art with confession. They pointed out that countless musicians write about dark themes, from heartbreak to death, without those lyrics being autobiographical. For them, the public reaction was less about evidence and more about the human tendency to look for patterns in tragedy. Still, the narrative gained traction. In the eyes of many, the line between David's art and his reality was blurring. His catalog, once a symbol of Gen Z creativity, was now being dissected as if it were evidence in a case file. The question became unavoidable. Was this coincidence, projection, or something far darker hiding in plain sight? The unfinished story. As investigators wrapped up their search of the Tesla and reviewed evidence gathered from surrounding surveillance and digital records, the focus shifted to what all of this meant moving forward. While many expected quick answers, the reality has been slower and far more complex. Detectives emphasized that a case involving cross-state movements, multiple jurisdictions, and digital footprints takes time to piece together. For David Anthony Burke, the weight of the discovery was immediate. The vehicle was his, and with that came unavoidable public attention. What had once been headlines about chart success and sold-out shows quickly turned into questions about a possible connection to a crime. Meanwhile, the family of Celeste Rivas Hernandez has been navigating the most difficult reality of all: loss without closure. For them, the investigation isn't just about headlines or speculation, it's about finding truth and accountability. Each day without answers only deepens their pain, while also keeping pressure on law enforcement to resolve the case. Online, the response has been divided. Some argue that speculation distracts from the facts and disrespects both the victim and the ongoing investigation. Others, however, continue to dissect every detail made public, creating theories and assumptions that spread rapidly across social platforms. This tension between public curiosity and investigative caution has defined much of the conversation so far. And so the story remains unfinished. A talented young artist stands at the center of unanswered questions. A grieving family waits for justice. justice, and investigators continue their work methodically, piece by piece. Until official findings are released, what truly happened and what it means for everyone involved is still unclear.
Right now, however, this is only being called a death investigation and not a homicide, and we're told that is because the LA County Medical Examiner's Office is still working to determine how exactly this teen girl died.
What is certain, however, is that this case has shifted the narrative around David, from rising star to central figure in a story no one expected. Where it goes from here depends not on speculation, but on facts that have yet to be revealed.